Um, Hello, everyone. I know you are in different time zones, so uh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who've joined this session. I'm Professor Kayvan Karimi. I'm the program director for this program, MSc in Space Syntax, Architecture and Cities. We have created this event uh, for you to know a little bit more about the program. And then if you have any questions, this is the time that you can ask, and I'll be very happy to answer your questions. So I give you a presentation. It would be around half an hour or so, and afterwards you can paste your questions in the chat box, and I'll go through everything and try to answer them as uh, good as possible. Yes. Um, we might get new people trying to join this session, so there is a little bit of um, noise probably. So apologies for that. Yes, people are joining. Um, yes. So this program, uh, MSc in Space Syntax Architecture and Cities, is offered within the Bartlett School of Architecture. Bartlett School of Architecture is part of a bigger faculty, the Faculty of Built Environment at UCL. This faculty includes a large number of schools, institutes, units, and so on. I've listed the most important ones here for you. Um, Center for Advanced Spatial Analysis, Bartlett School of Sustainable Construction, Development Planning Unit, School of Planning, Bartlett School of Environment, Energy, and Resources, which also includes several institutes, such as the world-renowned Energy Institute. And then we have Institute for Innovation and Public Purposes, Institute for Digital Innovation, Institute for Global Prosperity, and Urban Laboratory. So um, the point is that while you will be within a relatively large school, but you will also be embedded in a very important faculty of built environment, which offers um, many programs, uh, master's programs and PhD programs, research centers, and so on. So there is a benefit of being associated with this faculty while we have our own place in in this school, which is School of Architecture. Now, one thing that I want to draw your attention to is that normally people look at the university rankings. And UCL as a university normally ranks, in the top 10 or top 20. It's a prominent university in the UK, internationally renowned. But the most important thing is the Faculty of Built Environment, the Bartlett. Now, regularly, this school ranks, well, the faculty, in fact, ranks either the top rank or second or third in the past 20 years. Last year it was the first, and this is compared to MIT, Delft, Harvard, and so on. So the faculty itself has got a higher position, if you like, in terms of significance and in terms of recognition in the world. You probably know that. That's why you're interested in UCL and Bartlett. But I thought I should emphasize this. Now, School of Architecture, as you expect, is a school that offers undergraduate programs and graduate programs. It is, world renowned school for its um, innovative approach to design, and also research, research on design. So it is an important element of the Bartlett as well. It is the biggest school within the Bartlett, and one of the most important ones. Uh, Now, if you want to know what space syntax laboratory, which is our research group within the School of Architecture, how it is situated in this whole thing, you can look at this quote. I think it was in 2019 when QS released their top university ranking and singled out actually the whole of faculty for you know being known for developing the space syntax theory. So it says Bartlett's faculty are active in experimental, original research, which is widespread in all schools and institutes of the Bartlett, but it kind of singles out the space syntax, which is quite interesting. Um, so this faculty and this school is the birthplace of an important uh, architectural and urban theory called space syntax. I'll explain it a little bit more. Um, yeah, the lab is it's not like a chemistry lab or something like that. Is a group of researchers, mm, academics such as myself, researchers, PhD students, and graduate students, and as a whole, we have this lab which enables research within our field, a collaboration between our people, between our members of the lab and with the other places. It's a very interesting composition of uh, various elements of if you like, a research group. But the good thing about this being associated with lab is that the master's program uh, in a space syntax architecture and systems can benefit from a wider group of researchers and academics who have the same interests. So there is a kind of transition, if you like, of knowledge and expertise between space syntax lab and the master's programs. This is the mission, if you like, of Space Syntax Lab in 2024, and I go through it. It's very brief, but I would like you to pay a bit more attention to how we, introduce ourselves, and to make sure that this is what you want in your further studies or career. So the mission is to understand human, social, cultural, and economic structures uh, and their evolution and entanglement with architecture, urbanism, and digital technologies. So this is widely about understanding socioeconomic, cultural phenomena and how they structure. And for this, we rely on how these things relate with space, with where they happen, and this is the very foundation of that, if you like, paradigm, space syntax platform or paradigm of relationship between social, cultural, and economic aspects of a city and architecture with with the space, urban space, architectural space. Uh, and the other thing is we use this knowledge and understanding to inform practice, to inform, real world. And we do it through publications, education. Uh, that's why we have this master's program. And we some of us, we are involved in applying these things to real projects, and we do that to influence projects, what is happening uh, in the world, planning, policy, and so on. And the aim is to promote healthy, sustainable, diverse, inclusive, and equitable cultures and communities. Uh, and we have this vision of delivering United Nations SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, through this kind of research and this kind of approach. Now, the founder of this, if you like, theoretical platform was Professor Bill Hillier, who passed away in 2019, and he was actually the first program director of this program, this master's program, which started in mid 70s. And he was a scholar, a very well established scholar, uh, wrote hundreds of papers and books and so on. The article that he published with Adrian Lemon and Stan Still in 1976, they called it space syntax, uh, which is about understanding the language of space, if you like. And the name stuck basically, and this became this foundational theory, if you like. This program originally was known as MSc in Advanced Architecture Studies, from the time that Bill Hillier established it in 1975 until 2011. But at that time, we realized that we probably need to distinguish this program from very, very other similar programs in the UK and the world. So we called it MSc in Spatial Design, Architecture and Cities. But then eventually in 2016, it was decided to change the name to Space Syntax, Architecture and Cities, to be absolutely clear what this program is about and distinguish it with very similar programs. Now, does it mean that we only teach a space syntax? Far from it. Space syntax is, if you like, the ethos of this program, and it's kind of the paradigm under which we are working. And I try to explain it a little bit, this socio-economic and cultural phenomena and relationship with the space. That's what we call a space syntax. There are some original publications, Bill Hillier, Julian Hansen, and others. They published these very sort of seminal books like The Social Logic of Space or Space is the Machine. And they kind of established the 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 platform, or if you like, the core theory. And our program is actually inspired by this mm, paradigm, if you like, space and society paradigm, which is a framework of theories, methods, and tools. So theory, it starts with this kind of overarching theory, and then sub-theories, and then methods and tools, which we use to explore the relationship between space and society, basically. And the very fundamental question in this approach was if space, how we put space together, layout of the space, and I mean architectural and urban space, can have any impact on social conditions and economic conditions and so on. These are images of social housing in the UK after the Second World War. And gradually these places, starting with sort of brand new design ideas, but then they turned into undesirable places, antisocial behavior, crime, etc., and dissatisfaction with the space. So there seems to be a relationship between how we design the space and how it performs um, socially and culturally and economically. So our program provides a stimulating program focused on the research and analysis of buildings and cities as a pattern of space inhabited by individuals, communities, and organizations. Now, this point is the one that I want to explain is very important. Instead of confining architecture to the role of, iconic buildings, as it is very kind of normal in architectural schools and architectural practice, and also confining the concept of city and urbanism and everything to economic development and policy, which is again very common in within planners and in schools of planning. Our program takes a combined, if you like, theoretical and analytical approach to bring architecture, urban design, urban planning, all the scales of the built environment into one kind of approach in order to construct and improve public realm and a better built environment for everyone. So this in a nutshell, this explains why we're calling this program City and Architecture, or Architecture and City, because we don't distinguish between these things. We consider them as different scales of the same thing, built environment. As mentioned, the core teaching is inspired by space syntax. And there are methods and tools that you might have seen, these kind of network analysis. This is network analysis of the entire UK. This is London. This is what we call a VGA, or visual graph analysis of a building. In this case, is Tate Gallery in London. Sorry, National Gallery in London. And this one is a very nice and simple graph analysis of a village in Africa. So from a village in Africa to a country, we have developed tools and methods to investigate how the spaces are connected to each other, how they work, and how everything works with the people who live in these systems. So the program aims to maintain a relevance to the contemporary world, challenges of the world, by taking a multidisciplinary approach. I think this is really important, this term, multidisciplinary. I consider our program one of the most, if you like, interdisciplinary programs that you can find. This trying to bring many kind of different streams of research and approaches together, and also a multi-scale. Yeah, it has this approach to various scales of the built environment, and we take this approach to analytical and evidence-based design, sustainable urbanism, social inclusion and exclusion, informal settlements, architectural computation, spatial cognition, physical and immaterial dimensions of social networks, narrative of spaces, and many, many other aspects of architecture and urbanism. We also teach and we equip the students with some advanced skills, spatial network analysis. We have our own kind of, if you like, software to do it, but these days the spatial network analysis is becoming more used by many disciplines. There are other ways of doing it. Visual graph analysis, which is about analysis of intervisibility within the spaces. Agent-based modeling. In our agent-based model is a bit different. It's a kind of a model that mimics human behavior. So it's a kind of bottom-up ways of modeling space. And obviously, we have to use platforms such as GIS, Geographical Information System, to store data, layers of data, and explore the relationship between these layers. We also have to use a statistical analysis and data visualization, because when you work with data, layers of data, you have to have the skills, or at least understanding of statistical analysis. We also emphasize on more practical things, such as presentational skills. As professionals or graduates, they would need to present their work, research, projects, etc. So we kind of try to enhance their presentational skills as well. Here is a bit of difference between MSc, an MRes program, as well as a PhD. Now, we have stopped our MRes program. MRes program was a sister program to MSc, Master of Research, designed for people who were specifically interested in research and they didn't have the time or resources to do a PhD. We had to stop this program because, various reasons. It was a bit unknown to applicants, and many countries they don't have that degree. So eventually, we decided to only offer our MSc program. But our MSc program is heavy with research as well. So if you're still planning to become a researcher or move further on to do a PhD, which is at least 3 years of intensive research in the UK system, our MSc program is one of the best offered at the Bartlett and probably in other universities compared to other universities. So yes, we have a strong element of research. We teach research techniques and research awareness, and we provide a route to do a PhD easily. So if you do this MSc, you can easily move on to do a PhD. This is the structure of the program. These master degrees at UCL or other UK universities are normally 12 calendar months. So you start from October, you finish by the end of September. And it's credit based, this system. Master's program, they normally have 180 credits. So in term one, and we have 3 terms and a summer term, so basically 4 terms. Term one, which is from October until Christmas time, you do 60, or the students do 60 credits. The modules that we offer are architectural phenomena, investigations in spatial morphology, space syntax methodology and analytical design, which I teach, buildings, organizations, and networks, which is taught by other colleagues. And the other modules are taught by other colleagues. I'm going to introduce them in shortly. In term two, we used to have a sort of if you like, option to choose between 2 modules: spatial dynamics and computation, which is in green now, and urban form and society. We are not offering urban form and society anymore because the professor who taught it could not, for various reasons, teach that module. That's Professor Laura Vaughan. She will be, however, available to help us with, supervising research and dissertations and so on. We're also going to keep that module as a virtual module, if you like, the content of the module. So you do the spatial dynamics and computation, but if you're interested, you can go through the material, lectures, everything, and benefit from a module that we offered before as an optional module. Then you will do spatial cultures and analytical design research project. This one is a bit bigger, if you like, than the others. I teach this. I lead this module, analytical design research project. It's 30 credit, and in this one we start teaching how you should do design and how you explore research design. Or research on design, if you like. And then we prepare you for an MSc dissertation, which is 60 credit out of 180. And in this one, we teach or we supervise you, we guide you to produce a substantial project, a research project, if you like. So this is, this will happen from after Easter holidays, which is in April, until the end of the academic year, which is September. And this, you would have a supervisor, dedicated supervisor to guide you to produce your dissertation. We also run a program called PhD program in space and computation. In the School of Architecture, we have 4 PhD programs. This is one of them. And Space Syntax Laboratory is heavily involved in this PhD program, but we have other colleagues within the school who contribute to this PhD program. So if you do this master's program, you have an opportunity really to know a bit more about our PhD program, and in future you can apply to it if you wish to carry on to do a PhD. Now, a little bit more about the sort of the history of space syntax, if you like. This entire approach, academic and also professional approach using space syntax in research and practice, it has impacted many mindsets. And this is Bill Hillier in 1980s going around these housing estates in the UK, teaching young planners the problems or the issues that they have to deal with. Our research has influenced policies and guidelines in the UK and internationally. So many of these pieces of policy and guidelines, they have benefited from this research. Our approach also impacted the current debates, even generated debates and terms that didn't exist or hadn't been used in the way that we are using them, like connectivity, spatial accessibility, permeability, intelligibility, wayfindings, and so on. Some of them are commonly used these days, but historically, the research has impacted a lot of these things. We have also impacted design. Some of us, including me, we are heavily involved in using research in design. And I explained a little bit more about my background, but this study, if you like, this type of study has informed many interesting projects in the UK and around the world. This is one of the examples, the Market Square in Nottingham, and how our research and analysis helped the design team to come up with a better, more functional and sustainable design in this public space. It also applies to other scales of design, office design, for instance. Some of my colleagues are involved in this scale of architectural design and then work with architects, or they just lead the work at these firms to create better environment for working, for interacting, for displaying, for many different purposes. We have influenced strategic thinking about how the city should work in terms of planning, or also big projects such as this one, which was about using the abandoned railway network to link it with a cycling network of the city. So, can we create this kind of cycling highways that connect with the street network? There is an extended or expanded network of research and professional people around the world and who are involved in academic research or consultancy work, mainly academic research. But as you can see, the darker dots, they show people who, have or are using, this kind of approach in their design. Now, these dots are the ones that I know. This is my personal knowledge. But if you do a more kind of, if you like, objective analysis of who in the world is using space syntax, you will come up with many more dots. The latest one is this one in Kazakhstan. And they just established a uh, a course, in fact, and a a consultancy firm that uses space syntax in providing uh, advice and design to the cities and the country. Our people, academics, students, PhD students in particular, but also master students, they have been involved heavily in publishing, uh, mm, articles and you know, books, etc. The diagram is really interesting. From 1976 until 1996, we were talking about tens, well, up to 10 publication per year. But now in the latest I got here is 2022 is gone up 600 publication in a year. That's quite significant, and I think it will go up uh, as as the time goes by. Um, we have a weekly seminar that attracts about 60 to 100, 120 participants. Researchers around the world, basically, and a lot of students, in fact, PhD students and so on, they join these seminars. Our students as well, they're welcome to use these seminars. We have every 2 years we have a symposium called the Space Syntax Symposium, quite well established. The 13th one was in Bergen in Norway in 2022. Then we had the last one was in Nicosia in Cyprus, 2024. And yeah, this is a group photo of our people at that conference. The younger ones are master students, the slightly older ones are PhD students, and the older ones, like myself, they are professors and tutors and so on. The next one would be actually in 3 weeks' time in Malaysia, in Johor Bahru um, Technical University. Uh, I'm really excited to go there. I would be 8th of June until 12th of June 2026. Some of my students will be there, students of this year. And the symposium is a hybrid um, format, so you can join uh, remotely if you like. I encourage you, actually, if you're interested in this program, this is a good opportunity to know more about, what papers are there and, what people are talking about. Um, and there's still time to register. And if you want to go there or just join remotely. Um, professional practices, there are professional practices that are associated with our kind of research. The most important one is Space Syntax Limited. And this was established in early 90s by Hillier and Alan Penn, Julian Hansen. I'm a director of this company as well. I've been there for almost 30 years. We provide all sort of advice and projects. We do some projects ourselves, um, and the companies sometimes, most years, if they have capacity, they take interns from our program, which is great because after finishing the program, they can go and do some professional works. But there are other practices like Foster and Partners and Richard Rogers, others that we have a close relationship with. And this is our students in 2023. We went there and they gave us demo of their research and their work. Some of our alumni, our graduates, are now working there at high positions. Two directors are from our program. Um, Future career and opportunities. So you can go to urban planning, urban design uh, firms, if you like, or architectural design. These days, they all have this kind of, if you like, research um, group or labs or things like that, and you will be very well fit into these labs, if you like. Local and regional authorities in the UK, around the world, they would really be interested in hiring our graduates. Universities, academic institutions, you probably need a PhD if you want to move up in the academic rank. But a lot of our master's students, they started the academic career with their master's degree, and then they moved up. And then finally, private developers and investors. That's a very interesting market for people who finish our program, and they are interested in hiring us. A little bit about myself. I'm the program director for this program, MSc and MRes. In fact, this says MRes, but no more. It's MSc. And you know, I'm also director of Space Index Limited. As I said, there is a flow of people's ideas, questions, methods, techniques, and tools between these two entities, and I'm really glad to be in the middle. Our tutors, I introduced myself a little bit. I'm teaching two modules, as I said, and I'm leading the dissertation module. Professor Laura Vaughan used to teach one module, but she will be our advisor and supervisor from next year, and her module is available to be audited, if you like, virtually. Professor Sophia Sara is a professor of architecture and spatial design. She leads a module called Architectural Phenomena. Professor Kessin Saylor, a professor of sociology and architecture. She leads a module called Building Organization Networks. Dr. Sam Griffiths, associate professor in spatial cultures. He leads two modules, spatial cultures and investigations in spatial morphology. Um, Dr. Tassos Varoudis is a associate professor in architecture and machine learning or machine intelligence, and he leads this module called spatial uh, computation. We have Professor Alan Penn, who used to be one of the founders of, he's one of the founders of Space Index Theory, but he's also used to be the dean of the Bartlett. Now he works with our group. He doesn't lead a module, but he has input in terms of supervision and things like that. Bill Hillier, unfortunately, we don't have him here now, but his teaching and his materials are available to be used. And there are other academics that are associated with our lab, Professor Eva Fata, Sean Hanna, and our external examiner is Professor Achilles Van Ness from the University of Bergen, Technical University of Bergen. We have this external examiner which looks at the content of our program and assessments and everything. So that's all that I wanted to present. I'm sorry that I went a bit over the time that I had in mind, but now is the time for questions and answers. I'll be very happy to stay longer if needed.